Well, tubers, here's our latest toy that we picked up a couple of weeks ago when we got back from New South Wales. Ferguson Tea20 little tractor. Guy just round the corner had it, and we're going to slowly but surely, well, it will get restored in a couple of years' time or years' time. At the moment, we're just getting it working. She's running a treat. We tuned it all up, changed the oil, fixed a few leaks, fixed the PTO that was leaking, put a new top link on it, fixed up some of the pins on the 3-point linkage, so it's all working. I mean, there's plenty of videos on that sort of stuff, so I didn't bother doing, filming all of that. Put all new hoses, all that sort of stuff on it, new thermostat housing because it was eaten through. Tuned it up, it's running absolutely terrific. But what we're going to do is we're going to make a carry-all for the back of it, and you can get plans off the internet really easy, and they also give you a list of what steel you have to cut and how to join it all. So we got all the steel cut up. That's the main frame, the 75mm RHS, and the other bits and pieces that go with it. Bought some pins for the lower 3-point locations. I just got to make the top one. So yeah, so we're going to follow the plans, cut it all up, weld it all together. I'm no welder. We'll just MIG weld it. We've got the MIG welder there. And yeah, make a little carry-all for the tractor. So here it goes. As I say, I'm no expert at this, so we'll just, play it by ear and see what we come up with. The plans call for the 75 by 50mm RHS to be cut across that angle, 45s. So that's what we've got here. So obviously we've got to cut that at 45, cut that at 45. So we'll start by marking all that out. Well, that's those angles cut tubers. Here's an example of measure twice, cut once. I nearly cut it the wrong bloody way. Not that it would have been a huge problem, I just could have turned it over, but yeah, always double check your measurements, so I haven't welded anything yet, but it's going to come up fairly square, should be a little bit of a gap there, but we can fill that with weld, it'll give us a bit of penetration. Same thing at the other end. All I cut it with was a just a angle grinder, with a 6-inch disc or 4-inch disc, whatever they are. That's the only thing I've got that I can cut any steel with, other than the plasma cutter. And the plasma cutter is fantastic, but you need a pretty steady hand, which I don't have. So I thought I need it to be pretty accurate. I'll mark it all out and do it with the angle grinder. I've got a bit more control. So we'll go to the plans and we'll see what's next. Well, that's the angles cut tubers, and seems to fit nicely into there. That just, notches in. These ones were cut at, overall the whole thing's 1500mm. These were cut at 1490. Couldn't figure out why, but when you slot them in, like they don't sit in that way, then you've ended up with a big gap. They sit in that way. That measurement from this outside edge to the other end becomes the 1500. So yeah, so just double check all your measurements as usual. Well, that's the base tacked up tubers. As I say, just tacked with the MIG. I'm no bloody gun welder, believe me, but I can join 2 bits of metal, and that's all we have to do. That'll be hidden anyway. We've got to make sure she's square. So what we do is we measure from that point right over to that point, and then we measure from that point right over to that point, and they should be the same. If they're both the same measurement, then the frame is square, which I checked and checked and rechecked. Oh, there's a bit of bloody MIG wire. Yeah, tacked it all off, and I reckon she's square tubers. So yeah, I'll get the same measurement from there to there, to there to there. So yeah, because if you measure it from there to there and same on that side, yeah, it'll be the same, but that doesn't mean the whole thing can't be like a trapezoid, is it? Whatever they call them, trapezoid. It can be out of square still. So yeah, that diagonal measurement is critical if you want to get everything straight. Well, that's the bottom welded up tubers. Like I say, I'm not the greatest welder on the planet, but I get the job done. I'm still struggling with how many amps and how many volts and how much wire speed, but at the end of the day, it's joined, so that's good enough, I suppose. The plan now calls for the 2 bits of flat to be actually welded on the bottom and stepped over this side by 75mm. They've got to stand up like that. These also have to be the same distance apart as the 2 lower points on the 3-point there. Now, the plan says 750mm. I get 660 across those two, so I'm going to make them at 660 apart, across, and hopefully that should all work out with a bit of luck. Yeah, tubers, as I was saying, these 2 bits of flat go across the base. This is the bottom of the tray, or the bottom bit, or whatever you want to call it. Plan doesn't call for it, but I've actually notched these 2 bits of flat just so it sits even with the underside of the floor there. So when the floor goes down, it sits right along that edge and that edge. So I've done that to both of them. We'll just work out our spacing now. I've just double checked it is 660 on that lower 3-point. We've marked a centre, which is right there. So I figure if I go 330 that way and 330 that way, that should give me the 660, all being well. Well, tubers, that's the base finished. It's all welded right round. These braces are put on. Not a bad weld. I mean, it's, you know, it'll hold. I wouldn't want to trust it to a bloody deep sea diving bell or anything like that. But for a farm implement, it'll be just fine. So that can go on the ground and we'll start on the next bits. The plan now calls for the backboard, sort of the upright bit, to be tack welded. So we cut all those the other day, as you know, so we're just going to tack weld them just a little bit, just in the corner there somewhere. We've got the square or the magnet on, and we've also checked it with the square, and it's come up beautifully at this stage. So that should be all right. It all looks nice and flat. We'll just give it a little tack and do the other side. The plan now calls for us to do a little bit of drilling. These are the holes for the bottom 2 pins for the 3-point, and that's the one for the top. There's 2 of them and 2 of the bottom ones, obviously. So on our bit of 700 by 75, come up 280, which we've done, and coming 37.5, which we've done, and centre punch it, and then we'll be drilling it. So yeah, just double check your measurements as usual. Okay, tubers, we've got our first piece of the flat set up in the mill. Just got to centre it all up there. We've got to, I'll just do a pilot hole first. We've got to do a 28mm hole. Well, that's that diameter around there, 28mm. So I've just got a hole saw to do that. Should be all right, I'm hoping. It's only mild steel, so a drill bit for bloody 28mm is about 50 or 60 bucks, and for something that I'll probably use once, you know, it's a lot cheaper just to buy a cheap tool and hope it does 2 holes. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Here's our hole saw tubers. I've just scratched the surface. I'll put a little bit of spray on it as I go. I won't be able to film it because I need 2 hands and I haven't got a tripod, so we'll see how we go. Well, there we have it, tubers. One 28mm hole. Well, it's probably going to be a little bit bigger, but that'll be okay. We can work with that. Well, that's those 2 holes drilled tubers. Yeah, we'll keep going. Well, that's the top pin mount holes drilled tubers. As it says there, I measured the top pin. I got 19.5 for the pin. They're 19. I may just have to relieve them just a little bit. If I went 20, it'd probably be too big. And I'm trying to keep as much slop out of all this worn out 3-point linkage as possible. So anyway, if we have to file it out a bit, that'll be fine. Really starting to look like something now. Tubers, the other bit of 1.5 metre flat just goes across the back. And the 2 uprights go in with the holes to the lower side for the 3-point. And then just basically weld it up. There's no big secret in any of that. Just once again check everything for square. Yeah, all we've got to do is put these 2 straps on the side somewhere like that, just with a tack of weld, and we're basically finished. And then we can give it a trial run. Oh, I've got to put a floor in it too. I've ordered some aluminium checker plate. Not polished, just normal aluminium checker plate. Probably look pretty good, and you know, it'll be quite durable. Well, that's those side straps on tubers. I didn't really look to see if there was a measurement for them, but they just sort of, you know, look about right, and they look the same and that. All that's left to do is put the mount for the top pin on, and yeah, we just got to find the middle of from that point to that point. So if it's 1500 long, that'll be 750 mil. Work out the spacing, weld them on, and she's basically done except for the floor and paint. Well, that's those welded on tubers. Hopefully it fits in the bloody fits in that top link. Other than that, she's done, as I say, the floor and paint. We'll hook it up now and try it out anyway and see what happens. Well, believe it or not, guys, the carry all actually goes up and down. The hydraulics are working, and yeah, it takes my weight and another, so it'll take at least 200 kilos. I don't know, it's probably good for 500 or something. I wouldn't have a clue how much, half a tonne, something like that, but so far so good. Well, there we have it, tube. The carry-all is basically done. Got the checker plate, fits beautifully. Just got to be bolted in. I've got some bolts for that. Pins are all done. Made a top pin on the lathe, so that fits nice. She's basically done. Come up looking all right. I mean, it's yeah, not too bad at all. When I restore the rest of the tractor, it'll look $1 million.
And of course the final touch is the countersunk Allen key bolts. M8 I think was the size. We also used nylock nuts. So it's got a flush finish on top, and it looks, yeah, they're stainless bolts. It goes really, really nicely. It's for use, so it's not going to stay clean too long, but what does it matter? Having said that, I take no credit for the plans or anything like that. It is all someone else's work. So yeah, don't come saying that Mick designed it, because he didn't. It was readily available off the internet. But yeah, thank you to my subscribers, thank you to my viewers, and anyone else who contributes anything at all to these videos. Stay clear of the China virus, people, and I'm going to be in touch very, very soon. See you guys.